guys, Chris with Inside Hardware, and today we're doing an LED TV repair. So let's take a look at what we have. First off, the model and make of this TV is a Westinghouse model number LD4680, Larry Daniel 4680. This was a popular model at Walmart, though I did research. Westinghouse is not directly associated with Walmart. I'm sure they have some kind of deal in terms of sales go, but Westinghouse is not a Walmart owned brand. So first thing off, let's go ahead and dismantle the TV. Well, now what I do to stay organized is, first off, I just follow my system. I recommend it to you all. I use this, whatever you call, hobby container here to organize my screws, starting with number 1 by the type of screws, and you also develop an order of which you take apart electronics. So in this case, I know that number 1 is most likely going to be the outer panel, number 2 will be the base. So first thing to recommend on most flat screen TVs, this is a 46-inch, so it's pretty big, is have a clean surface in a room that you won't have animals or children running around, and that you might be able to leave this out for an extended period of time. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already taken the TV apart, so it speeds up the process of the video. I've actually figured out the culprit of the issues and everything. So remove the base, and that's a few screws. It's different for every TV, so I'd recommend you just kind of be intuitive about it. In this case, there's a couple screws from the bottom for that. This came off as a separate panel for that, and then I followed around the different edges of the screen, and all the screws are the same there. A couple different screws here in the middle. You can take a paper note or a mental note while you're taking it all apart, and just keep them in order as you go through your case. So in this case, the screen is taken apart, and as you will see behind the couch, I already laid out the front bezel, which really just sat in place after you took it all apart. Beware that when you are taking the screen apart, I've already unplugged the side buttons on the side of the TV. This is just an extension cable that connects to it, so always be very cautious when taking something like this apart. You don't want to rip any cables out. In this case, because I removed the bezel, I went ahead and removed the speakers as well. Those are unplugged. I just left them in place for the purpose of the video. Now, first thing about LED TVs that you'll notice is if you've ever taken apart a plasma or an LCD TV that does not go by LED, therefore it's using the old fluorescent bulbs, is there are a lot more panels around the screen. Because this is LED, there's only one panel. Quick brief story behind that is the fluorescent bulbs require a much higher voltage, and therefore what will generally happen is you'll have a outlet wire that goes to a central switchboard power supply that converts the different voltages, 5, 12 volts, for the different graphics boards, and then it'll generally have a higher voltage one for the output to the fluorescent bulbs. So not only is LED more evenly spread out of a light bulb, and it gives a better picture subjectively, but it also requires a lot less power. In this case, the power comes from an external power source, just like a laptop charger. It's a little under 20 volts, and that plugs right into this single board. Yeah, there's a little extended board here for your infrared and the separate power switches on the side of the TV, but essentially one board. And just a quick look at it so you can get a feel of what all we're looking at. I went ahead and used my marker to write on the screen. We have LED 1, LED 2, graphics, control, and speakers. And these are all the different plugins. So this one went to the right and left speakers. Control went to the infrared remote and the extended board. The graphics cable, it's a lot of smaller wires, and that you can tell goes to the graphics cable because there's a LED or LCD board on the top that fine-tunes the graphics on the actual LCD glass. And then these two were left by exclusion, but the way the wires were positioned, they extend right into the back of the TV, and therefore By exclusion of all the other wires being assigned, I knew that those were the LED TV, the LED parts of the cable. Now, the issue with this particular model and a lot of similar Westinghouses is they stop working. You'll be watching something, it'll cut off, like this case, or you'll leave, come back, and it's off, or you'll try to turn it back on, and nothing. So what's happening? Well, there's only one board. So by exclusion, if the issue is the board, you can just replace the board. And I've heard price quotes from $300 on up. In this case, replacing the board, if you may have already done that, will not be your solution. Now, this is in most cases, it seems to be a popular issue with these TVs. It may actually be your board, and there's other videos on how to visually identify some of the issues that can be identified visually. If not, you can replace the entire board if you don't do soldering or so forth on the board. But you'd be watching other videos for that. So in this case, TV is not powering on. No visual issues with the board. Actually, let's check some of the voltages, and it all looked fine. So go to the next issue, and I found that other people are having the same problem. So this easily popped out of the lower bezel. At that point, I went ahead and unscrewed the little infrared connector here and removed this little panel, and keeping track of my screws in my little container. That way I can leave this out for a few days and come back, and my container keeps my screws in order versus laying them out, kind of like I've done over here with these brackets. I've just laid them out. I don't recommend that, but for the ease of the situation. So I'm going to go ahead and lift up this TV. We'll look at the front side of the TV now. So the TV is in good shape, and okay, where do I start? First of all, there's brackets that hold the LCD glass throughout the whole frame of the screen in place. I've already gone and removed the higher ones, or it's actually the bottom of your screen. This TV is upside down right now. And those are those 5 brackets right there. You just remove the screw, and they slip right off. After that, I went ahead and removed the screws of this upper plastic molding, and that gave this freedom. And next, I identified the problem. Now, you can run a test beforehand. I should have mentioned this earlier, but by simply unplugging your 2 LED cables, or unplugging one, turning it on, see if it works, and then trying and vice versa, plug the other one in, see if the other one works. And I did that in the beginning by unplugging this left side to us right now. TV came right on. What happened is only half the LEDs came on, which, because there are light diffusers in it, it's actually not that bad of a picture. But for the price of the TV and the quality and so forth, you do want an even light. But there's other topics on that you can, other temporary solutions that you can find for that. So I identified that this was the problematic one by plugging it in and out several times and turning it on. I identified that it would not come on with this plugged in. Now, these ribbon cables, though they do go into the center back of the TV screen, they actually line up, and this is a general rule of thumb for all LED backlit screens, is they'll line up with one or two of the edges of the TV. In this case, it's the lower edge, which is on top right now, and those 2 little ribbon cables are right here. There's one on the far corner, and that's the one that works, and there's one all the way over here. And what I found, that when I was plugging it in and all, I'd see a little tiny red spark every second. Not spark, but the TV wouldn't power on at all, and I could notice a little tiny dab of red light flashing. So I'm going to try to show up close what I've done. Basically, it was short-circuiting. That far left wire was touching somehow the metal bar right behind it, therefore causing the whole TV to short, therefore as a safety precaution, keeping the TV from turning on. When you unplug that ribbon cable, it worked fine. I don't recommend trying to plug it there because you'll have a hard time trying to plug it back in. So what I did is, you saw I wedged in a little tiny piece of a toothpick. And for now, that's just a cheap temporary fix to keep the cable from touching the edge. If I were to repeat this process, or if I have issues in the future, I would go ahead and order this ribbon cable before even taking the TV apart if I have issues with it again. And once I have the ribbon cables, dismantle the TV. To further access these cables, because they're placed in the position they are, you will need to, I would recommend you do a full repair, because you never know, by putting in that little toothpick, you might be able to slice that ribbon cable. They're so frail, which is why it broke in the first place. But you can remove all the brackets around the edge of the TV. I recommend keeping it upside down, as the ribbon cables are on the lower part of the TV, and those give the video signal to the glass. And we can go ahead and turn it on that way. Looks like a fun science experiment, although I'll go ahead. So that's plugged in now, so it has power. And here's my little infrared signal receiver. Power it on. You see a little red light back on the back of it come on. And now the TV will come on. And you see it a lot brighter because one of the brackets has been removed, but basically only half the screen was coming on. Anyway, back to dismantling the full repair. You're going to remove the glass. The glass is just but a thin layer right here, which is hard to see. And then there's a big bulky piece of plastic behind it that helps diffuse the LEDs. The LEDs are a bunch of little in-row light bulbs like that. Once you remove the glass, you got to be very careful with the glass, because you want to unplug the ribbon cables from the backside first, actually, and then find your right order. Remove the ribbon cables, unplug them. The glass should come out. You're going to want to be very careful because it's a very flimsy glass. Once you remove that, you can remove the plastic board that diffuses the light evenly throughout the screen, and then after that, you'll be able to access the ribbon cables. I would replace both while you're at it because they tend to be super frail, and I would recommend using something like an electrical tape, kind of like I've done with this toothpick, and just lining the back of the metal so that the cable won't short circuit in the event that it were to frail up or whatever, melt over time. And that's the gist of this video. I hope you guys find it helpful. I can't guarantee this repair 100%, but it seems like it happens to be the popular issue with these Westinghouse flat screen LCD LED TVs. Thank you for watching. Please comment and post and ask questions. Have a great day.